Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're all well. Quickly, before we start, news has emerged that Chantal Cameron has split with Jamie Moore, which I found quite surprising because I just believe Chantal Cameron in the return fight with Katie Taylor was just beaten by the better fighter, beaten by the better skills, more speed, faster hand speed, better foot movement, essentially. So whether she's reasoning that Jamie Moore didn't do enough, or the reasons for her losing were down to her training team and Jamie Moore, I don't know. But Jamie Moore's a guy in boxing that I've got a lot of respect for. And I know a lot of you guys are around about the same age as me who watch this channel. I can see that in the analytics. So no doubt a lot of you can remember Jamie Moore, the fighter, as I can. It was a great little era around that time in British boxing with the likes of Ryan Rhodes, Jamie Moore, Matthew Macklin, Alex Arthur, Michael Gomez. Some wonderful domestic clashes. But Jamie Moore, yes, didn't go as far as to win a world title, but certainly very experienced, has kind of seen most of it and done most of it. Very knowledgeable of the game. So, yeah, I just found that quite surprising that Chantal Cameron had elected to dispatch with Jamie Moore. I don't know what you guys think, but a great guy, Jamie Moore. Knows the sport, wonderful fighter, wonderful to watch. So, just found that not shock news, but just surprised she doesn't feel the need of the employment of Jamie Moore anymore. Anyway, moving on, the pay-per-view has been announced for Dazn's screening of Joshua Ngannou. Now, the pay-per-view price for Joshua Ngannou on Dazn is $19.99, but fear not if you're a rolling subscriber to Dazn, because you're going to get a discount, and you're going to get a discount of a whole £1. Yes, correct, you heard me right. Rolling subscribers to Dazn get it £1 cheaper than non-subscribers, meaning that if you are a rolling 2 subscriber to Dazn, so this only applies if you've got a monthly direct debit and you're paying for Dazn month by month. So essentially on Dazn, if you're a subscriber, you're going to have to pay 39 quid to watch Joshua v Ngannou. And if you're not a subscriber, you're going to only have to pay 20 quid. So there's nothing like looking after your continued customers, is there? And like I say, this doesn't apply. If you're going to cancel that month and then buy it, you're going to get it £1 cheaper. But if you're not, if you're like me, if you're going to pay a rolling subscription through the year to watch that on Dazn, you've essentially got to pay 39 quid, which I just found a bit outrageous. Surely, at least if you're a rolling subscriber, surely a tenner, innit? We've got to get a 50% reduction, surely, for being a rolling subscriber to Dazn. But no, we get £1. So if you're a rolling subscriber, you're going to be paying 39 quid. If you're not a subscriber and you're just going to pay for the pay-per-view, you're only paying 20 quid. To me, there's something a lot wrong with that picture, isn't there? I just find that just wrong, highly wrong. And I'll probably watch it on Dazn because I don't know what you guys have at home, but my Sky now is with the new Sky Pucks, meaning that stuff is not broadcast, it's all streamed. So you're at the same, you can fall foul of the same streaming issues if you're watching that on Sky Box Office. If you have the new Sky Pucks, you're just as likely to have issues as you are with Dazn because it's all streamed. The topic of this video was really True Geordie's episode last night. He has a separate channel, a second channel called The Pain Game, where he discusses fight sports. And the essence of the discussion was, and shout out to Loz D. Loz D made a video about this as well on this True Geordie episode. And the episode was basically about who benefits more from this fight being rescheduled and pushed back, who benefits more from the longer time spent in training camp, who's this to help more. Now, first off, I think regardless of the there was also another issue, and the other issue was that with the $10,000 fine for anyone who now pulls out of this fight, that seems highly unfair to me on Oleksandr Usyk and his camp. Now, this fight has been postponed and pushed back twice down to Team Fury. Obviously, the original date being pushed back which was December, wasn't it, I think? And obviously, because of the Ngannou fight and the damage taken in the Ngannou fight, this was then pushed back, and then because of the cut, pushed back again. So essentially, this has been rescheduled twice, and twice down to the Fury camp. So to now impose a $10,000 fine on both camps, on either camp, which is so Usyk could now sort of fall prey to an injury and have to pull out, and he will now get fined $10,000 just because this has been pushed back twice due to Fury sort of pulling it twice, which seems highly unfair, doesn't it? That Usyk would get a $10,000 fine if he is, unlucky enough to gain an injury. He's now going to be fined $10,000 just because Fury has pulled this twice, essentially. So I found that sort of highly unfair. But again, the point was, who does it benefit more? Who does this prolonged now training camp benefit more? And they were of the assumption that, or true Geordie was, that it benefits Fury more because he can spend longer now getting in shape, getting his cardio levels up, and just getting his showers, and just benefit more from a longer training camp. As we know, Oleksandr Usyk doesn't really ever seem to be out of shape. He's the consummate professional. He's always in shape. And his level is kind of constant, isn't it? You saw. That's how we kind of see. That's what you garner from Usyk. His level doesn't really dip. Yes, he might come out of training, but he certainly never lets himself go in the way Fury does. And as far as I know, there are reports that at this point in time, Fury is back in his hometown. I forget where he lives now. I'm sure you'll point out to me, but the seaside town, you know where he lives. He's back there now, sort of doing the school runs, doing all sort of stuff. So he seems to be out of camp at this moment. And that is, in terms of timing, the amount of time he spent in camp and the amount of time now he has till the next fight, I don't see a problem with that. Essentially, in terms of timing, I'd expect him to go back in very soon and then re-peak. So that's one issue. One issue is the peaking, and both were all but sort of 2 weeks out and training to reach peak for that fight. But for me, I think it's already advantaged Usyk in terms of the cut. Now, that's going to hamper Fury's training. It's certainly going to hamper his time sparring. And there are arguments to say that he would have been sharp from sparring in the last camp right up to the point where the cut was suffered. But in terms of going back into camp, his time sparring now, second time around, has certainly got to be limited. But I believe it's advantaged Usyk in the sense that, now, they made the argument on there, and a lot of people point out that the cut will be targeted. Now, I kind of believe that, but they have a guy on there, and I believe he's a pro, and he said, look, it doesn't work like that. You can't target a specific area, like underneath the eyebrow where that cut is. And I certainly agree, to target a specific small area like the cut itself isn't massively realistic. But taking into account the fact that eye, as I said previously, has been opened up twice by southpaws from the southpaw stance. Now, you don't have to target that cut exclusively to reopen that cut. And I believe Usyk will peel that cut open inside 4 or 5 rounds. And I also believe when he does that, that changes Fury's approach to the fight. Because as we saw against Wallin, if that cut reopens, and I'm pretty confident it will, because that scar tissue is now even worse from this cut that was opened up in sparring. And as Tyson's getting older, the skin starts to thin and degrade, as everything starts to degrade as we get older. But the point is, you don't have to target that cut specifically. Now, the surface area of the glove is large, right? And before you shout at me, yes, I know twins are predominantly a Muay Thai glove. This is just there. We had a little mess around, and we have these here just for a laugh. I was predominantly a Reyes man, all right? But point being, the surface area, the knuckle part of this glove is pretty much the same as a boxing glove, all right? Albeit this being a 12-ounce glove, a marginally bit larger, but doesn't matter. But when we talk about the cut and targeting the cut, you don't have to target the cut. The area you can hit to open that cut is the upper left side of that face. You know, but that side, that upper side of that side of the face where the cut's on is all you have to hit. With that scar tissue and that damaged tissue, you have only got to stick that glove on there and land shots that are going to pull that enough to reopen that cut. Essentially, you haven't got to hit. You haven't got to pinpoint where that cut is. Anywhere around that upper side of the face is going to be enough to reopen that cut. And when that cut reopens, Fury is going to go into, as he did the Wallin fight, his approach will then be maybe chasing the fight because he's at risk of being stopped on the cut and taking a loss that way. So that will certainly change his outcome. And I think that would play. A Fury that now has to force the fight now brings him closer to Usyk, where a Fury that is going to box on the back foot, use his range and use his length, taking him out of the range of Oleksandr Usyk, in which he would do if he takes the approach of boxing, is now lost if he now chases the fight. Chasing the fight and being offensive now brings him in range more often than it does boxing the fight or boxing Usyk on the back foot. So for that reason, we can debate the length of the layoff and the rescheduling. And there's also the point that Tyson Fury does suffer mentally. He said it himself many times that when he's out of camp, that's when he starts to wander. That's when he can start to slip into maybe the drinking and other stuff. And I'm not suggesting he will, but it certainly poses the possibility that that can happen. And as with all fighters, you don't just physically peak, you mentally peak as well. As the sparring gets more intense, the training gets more intense, the sacrifices become greater, the longer you go in camp, and that all helps to the mental peaking. So, yeah, essentially the discussion was with True Joy, and he believed it aids Fury. And possibly it does in terms of his cardio output, but I'm not sure this fight will be won or lost on Tyson Fury's cardio output. But like I said, to me, I believe it's already advantaged Usyk because of the way in which Fury may have to approach this fight and approach this second period of training camp because of that cut and the risk of that cut opening. But to suggest Usyk won't utilise the damaged tissue in some way with how accurate Usyk is and how high a punch count Usyk has, to me, I do not see it at all out the way that Usyk can land on the upper side of that face as a southpaw from the southpaw stance and have that cut opened within the first half of the fight. As for Usyk, will the extended camp aid him? I don't really believe it will aid Usyk. As I said before, I think Usyk is generally always in fight shape. There's a possibility he could gain even more sharpness just from more time spent on the mitts, more time spent sparring, more time spent in the gym, essentially. But for me, I think it's advantage Usyk because of the disadvantages in the lead up in training camp for Fury because of this cut, and then the approach Fury may have to take in the knowing that that cut is already a risk even before it's opened in the fight. And I believe it will be opened in the fight. Anyway, that was it. Let me know what you think. I'll be interested to hear. I'll see you all soon.